I ain't going to school today. That's crazy. I forgot. Ooh, ooh. I'm gonna wait for some of y'all to come on. So come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Man, but nah, yo. Yes, sir. But yeah, no. I'm on live. But yeah, no. So let me just. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. Just a few minutes. Few minutes. Any diamonds? They got more common as you go deeper. Oh yeah, I know that. Am I messing with spawn today? Spawn is. It's definitely spawn. It's taking a long time to load. I might have to update Minecraft or something. I don't know. Cause it's like mad like. Well, you gotta be working. Let me go back in settings. Ooh. Favorite performance, please. And then get out, like close Minecraft. Okay, I'm gonna start telling you now. Wait, actually. Man, bro, come on, come on. Ow. Always gotta wait. My head hurts, like actually hurts. This pimple on my, this pimple just hurts. I don't know why, it just does. I just, yeah, nah, this Minecraft is weird. Oh, we got a village? Okay, cool. But no, so I'm gonna start telling y'all now, right? So, wait, do y'all, hold up. I gotta wait, cause I gotta, bro, come on. I need to know if y'all know what Daniel 3 is. If y'all know the story of Nebuchadnezzar and the fiery furnace. I need to know if y'all know that. Before I start trying to tell y'all. I mean, I'm gonna tell y'all either way, but you know, I want to know if y'all know it first. If y'all know the story of Nebuchadnezzar and the fiery furnace. I need to know if y'all know it before I start telling y'all. Yo, I actually haven't played Minecraft in a while. Hello. Oh, wait, you. Do you know what Nebuchadnezzar, do you know what Daniel 3 is? And do you know, or do you know what the story is about the fiery furnace and the three boys? From out of the Bible. No? Okay, word. It doesn't even matter. But no, so Loki, that's what I'm gonna be talking about right now. So because I was, hold on, okay, let me first, actually, we're gonna read the story. That's what we're gonna do. But hold on. So because I was just watching TV, or I was about to start watching TV, and I was just like, chilling. You know it? I was just chilling, and I came across a little AI, and it made the story of Nebuchadnezzar, and just Nebuchadnezzar's story altogether, actually. And what was it? What was I saying? I came across this story, and we was just talking about. I mean, it just talked about his story, and then we got to the part around what's it called? The fiery furnace and everything. we got to the part around the fiery furnace and everything. And I could have swore that David was also with them in the fiery furnace. I could have swore it was, because I know it was always 3 people in the fiery furnace, but I thought it was like David, 2 other people, and then the angel that appeared. So we're gonna read that today out of Daniel 3. Hold on, let me pause this. Read this out of Daniel 3. I'm gonna read all of Daniel 3 because I just need to find out, you know? Of course, Daniel, wait. Oh, that's Daniel. Daniel's behind Ezekiel. I keep saying Ezekiel. That is behind Ezekiel. That's Hosea. But no. About to read this. Got my, oh, it's over there. Sure. It's not plugged up. Wait, where did it go? Hold on. Oh. Okay. But no. Are y'all ready? I don't care. Y'all already know. Wait, is it only Daniel 3? I'm gonna just read Daniel 3, and if I don't, if it's not the entire story, then I'm gonna keep going. Right? And I'm reading out of King James Version. Yeah, I'm reading it out of KJV. So to start, Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold whose height was 70 cubits and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Oh. Then an herald cried aloud, "To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at which time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music." They spell music like that? Okay, anyway. Basically, it's just talking about musical instruments. Ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Right. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, when they heard the sound, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans. What is? Hold up, wait. I got the. Okay, good. I need to look what a Chaldean is. I should just be reading this out of the NIV because it's easier to understand. I'm gonna read it out of NIV for y'all. Hold up. Yeah, I'm gonna read it out of NIV for y'all. Oh my goodness, wow. Okay. Starting over. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide, and set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. He then summoned the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the provincial officials to come to the dedication of the image he had set up. So the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the other provincial officials assembled for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before it. Then the herald loudly proclaims, "Nations and people of every language, this is what you are commanded to do. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace." Therefore, as soon as they heard the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, and all kinds of music, all the nations and peoples of every language fell down and worshipped the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. These cats running around. At this time, astrologers came forward and denounced the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, May the king live forever. Your Majesty has issued a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music must fall down and worship the image of gold, and that whoever does not fall down and worship will be thrown into a blazing furnace. But there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, Your Majesty. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up. Furious with rage, Nebuchadnezzar summoned Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So these men were brought before the king. And Nebuchadnezzar said to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the image of gold I have set up? Now when you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, if you are ready to fall down and worship the image I made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into a blazing furnace. Then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your Majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, Your Majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his attitude toward them changed. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual, and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie. Sorry, my mouth is dry chocolate, bro. So these men, and he commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and throw them into the blazing furnace. So these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent and the furnace so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, Weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw into the fire? They replied, Certainly, Your Majesty. He said, Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods. Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire, and the satraps, prefects, governors, and royal advisors crowded around them. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was a hair of their heads singed. Oh, wait. I just realized. So Daniel... Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just finish reading this. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was a hair of their heads singed. Excuse me. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, Praise be to the God Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants. They trusted in him They trusted in him and defied the king's command and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I decree that the people of any nation or language who say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be cut into pieces, and their houses be turned into piles of rubble, for no other God can save in this way. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. So, okay, so basically, it looks like no Daniel, not David, was not inside he wasn't with them in the furnace. I could have swore that he was though, because he's in he's in like the story before this and after, and he was he was with them when they all came together. But I could have swore it was like David, Meshach, and or I know it was definitely like Abednego. I thought it was like David, Abednego, and either Shadrach or Meshach. I think it was like David, Abednego, and Shadrach. I think that's what I heard. But also, I forgot to even tell you before this, but I know this story because, like, just at church and like, let me see. I actually, this is not even. I'm pretty sure this is not my first time reading this story out of Daniel 3. Cause I feel like I read it before. It feels familiar, like it feels familiar, like I read it before. I think I did read it before at least once. And we also, in what's it called, Bible studies. We've talked about it. Youth services at the church, we've talked about it, and children's service at the church, we've talked about it, and even in normal services, because I'm 16 years old. Last time I actually know, how old was I last time in church? I was like 15 years old, 14 years old. After 13, like, bro, I stopped going to the children's services. I'm like, all right, whatever. But yeah, no, even in the things they talk about it, and I've started, I'm actually able to pay attention now that I'm, older. And I'm just, sitting here. But basically, if y'all don't understand what that story was, basically the king had set up, and he set up a statue for everybody of his kingdom to serve and worship. And these three, everybody, when the time came, everybody worshipped besides these three boys, these three Jews. And they decided that, everybody else was worshiping, and they decided that they wasn't going to worship. And they didn't even hide the fact that they wasn't going to worship either. They just, they stood there in the open. Everybody, it was like, like, for example, they could have been in like a crowd, and, everybody standing up, and then the music played. Everybody got down on their knees and worshipped, and they just stood up. They're not worshiping a God that's not their God. They decided that they wasn't going to worship a God that's not their God. And so, because of that, the king got mad, and they even told the king himself that they wasn't gonna worship. They're not gonna worship. They're not gonna worship anybody. They're not gonna worship his. They're not gonna worship his statue and his fake god, or any of his gods, actually, because at that time, it was that kingdom must have been polytheistic, meaning that they had multiple gods, because they do say gods a lot, and it would do it throughout Daniel, throughout the book of Daniel. But yeah, and what was I about to say? Oh yeah, and the king decided that he got mad because he got mad out of pride, and he was basically going to try to kill them. He was going to burn them in the fiery furnace. He got so mad that he must have just wanted to end it quickly and let them burn, let them feel the pain. I look so skinny. Like, what is this? What is this? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Why? Why does it go like that? I don't like that. But it's whatever. Anyway, and he decided that he was going to, he was mad. He wanted he wanted them to feel the anger, so he lit up the fire 7 times hotter than normal, and it was just mad hot. It was like not even near. It wasn't near 7. It wasn't near the sun type temperature, but that's like your oven on max. That's like your oven on, it's like, bro, let me see, it's like a good 400, 500 degrees. Not even, nah, it's like a good 1,200 degrees average. Probably, I don't even know. But there's that, and then they just, okay, so basically Daniel wasn't in there, which is, that's crazy. And they went in there. Coming. Coming. Anyway, so they went in there. They got tied up and they went into the furnace. And then they got tied up, they went into the furnace. The people who threw them into the furnace died. That's how hot it was. But these in the shower. I'm on live. Anything else? Okay, yeah, but I'm in kind of. Yeah, I can take. Okay, good. Anyway, but yeah, and they was in the furnace. They got thrown into the furnace, and they didn't burn like everybody else did. They didn't burn. They didn't die of heat or whatever. They just walked into the furnace. They walked into the furnace, and they was walking around. And the king ended up realizing that there was 4 people. They threw the 3 boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, into the furnace. And the king ended up realizing after like a few minutes that there was 4 people in there. They was walking around unharmed, or seemingly unharmed, and everything. And there was 4 people in there, and the 4th person, he said, looks like an angel, basically. And so he called 3 boys out of there, and basically he experienced God's, not, I wouldn't say salvation, because he didn't save him. I mean, he did experience God's salvation. Like, he experienced somebody being saved from God's grace. He experienced, so, and that was that. But, I always thought Daniel was, huh? Oh. I always thought Daniel was in that, like, oh, hey. I always thought Daniel was in that, what's it called? In that story right there. But no, it looks like he wasn't. But that's okay. And that's all I really wanted to talk to y'all about. I just, I wanted to read with y'all the story that I just remembered. Just listen to it. And yeah, no, so that's it. I will see y'all later. I'll be on live later. And yeah, no.